the beauty of God's speed I bring with me, and the qualification of that idea is a magnificent concept when viewed from our level. For we are concerned that the students should forsake the idea of the passage of time or of the occupation of space and think in terms of occupying qualities. We reference here then those qualities that are so abundantly the graces of God, the manifestations associated with the ideas of Him, the beauty of the divine Om, the love of the cosmic home. Will you then understand that an entering in to God's grace is not a mere motion that occurs amidst the elements of creation? It is the accepting gently in the consciousness of those profound and moving cosmic ideas that will regenerate the soul in man, that will enable it to enter into its native element, the consciousness and being of God, and occupying the space within man, filling the chalice of his heart and brimming over the lip thereof, flowing everywhere as the divine Tao. Let men realize then that God, who flows everywhere and is everywhere at the same time that He flows, is in a state of constant motion at rest. This idea of inertia, this idea of flow, this idea of reality betwixt unreality may at first seem strange. But if the students will pause to reflect that long before you drew a breath in any embodiment whatsoever, long before you manifested in form, you were a part of the boundlessness of the divine, the great ocean of cosmic identity, and the creative power of God, the universal Logos. You will recognize that you are a manifestation of the moving and living Word, the vital and vibrant Christ consciousness. I am Mercury, and as a messenger of God, it is my wish to convey to you the power of true divine speed, a speed fixed in graciousness, a speed that is unmoved by the vicissitudes of worldly ideas, by the fluctuation of human thoughts and feelings. Won't you then, hearts of light, forsake right now, right here and now, all those ideas that are so self-limiting? Won't you let go of the concept that a certain lapse of time must occur before you can realize God? Won't you let go of the concept that heavy labor lies ahead, and instead provide for yourself a great conductor, a causeway of light, joy, and happiness? One of the great facility pathways from the heart of God is what we will term the beam of cosmic happiness. This, like the beam of a transcendent lighthouse, sweeps throughout the cosmos, pulses in all directions, and conveys the idea of the boundless expression of God. It provides a link for little hearts who have scarcely realized even a very small portion of themselves, let alone having opened their eyes into higher realms. yet within the denser manifestation of individuality, there is also a radiant glimpse afforded man from time to time, which helps him to maintain his sanity and peace. For without the grace of God expressed in his heart, in subtle ways, he would find life itself to be no grand adventure, but a most boring and tedious experience. But because God provides, even in the sameness of manifestation, a renewal and the fervor of renewal, a flow of happiness and the concentration of cosmic joy within men in little ways, they are satisfied momentarily with baubles and trinkets in their existence, until such a time as more worthy goals stand before them. Thus let all understand that God has provided for the child in the simplicity of growth toward a maturity of expression. And so, as we beckon to you and say, hasten onward, it is also a recognition of the quietude of God that manifests around you. This great speed, this great motion that we have, that we exhibit from time to time, is also a great stillness in motion that gives us a quality called poise. Now, poise, beloved hearts of light, is so essential for each life stream in the development of the realization of movement. From time to time we hear students say, I do not seem to be making a great deal of progress. In the name of Almighty God, I say, what is progress? And where are you going? You have already arrived at the destination and do not realize it. The destination is the very doorway to your true self-realization, the realization of who and what you are. Will you understand then that this will be an occupation of infinity? And inasmuch as it is the occupation of infinity, will you then be content to realize that what you now are, what you now will be, all of this is already with you, yet is not realized by you? And if you were to realize it all, would it not indeed provide you with a sense of going nowhere? For there is in the very idea of movement, in the very idea of discovery, a vital snap, a vibrancy of life, a quality of fulfillment that speaks to you of God's joy in the very discoveries that he makes known unto you from time to time. If he were to give you all knowledge and all power in your outer selves, in your finite personalities, what would you do with it, beloved one? It is an activity of light that is within yourself. And when you understand this, when you grasp these principles, not with the human mind, but with the divine soul that is within, it will be the breathing in of the participatory joy of God. You are all participants in the great drama, the grand adventure of existence. And the movement that you experience through the Christ consciousness as flow is the realization of the infinite waves that probe themselves. God, as the infinite, is also God as finite expression, seeking to probe the infinite. Yet that which is finite will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, into the infinite. And the joy bells will ring in your heart. And the messages of God will come into the force field of your being, helping you to dislodge the impediments that is huge rocks that cannot be penetrated, calcify your consciousness, stratify it, densify it, and make it so difficult to work with. The angels of God who work with humanity would almost be frustrated if it were not for the great knowledge which they have of all these laws put into perfect context. Will you then strive with me today to enter into the realization of the expansive nature of God, that albeit you may not have discovered all the reality of yourself, and albeit you may unfortunately possess shadowed concepts of yourselves and others, that these can be shed and transmuted by pure light until you will have that sense of occupying eternity, that every moment will seem to you to be but a drop of eternity compressed into that moment, that every globule of life, such as the manifestation of yourselves, will seem to be but a concentration of good energies. Through the qualification of energy, and not through the sense of movement, man is able to receive the message of God, the message of his deliverance. Through the realization that man is a God-free being, through the power of the sacred fire, through the penetration of the consciousness of God into the force field of the human identity, that identity ultimately sheds its skin. And man, no longer heeding the serpent that whispers in himself the subtle meanderings of shadow and mortal intelligence, will finally discover the infinite intelligence permeating the pores of consciousness and beating that precious heart of light that he really is, with the pulsations of God ideals. No whimsy, but golden wonder then will flood the consciousness. And all will be delight, and all will be the radiance of the message of God spoken to each heart. God will manifest to the individual, and within he will say, I am the Lord thy God. This is the fiat of being. This is the fiat of seeing. This is the fiat of reality. This is the tie to the real in life that raises man upward. And thus he becomes, in essence, a winged messenger of God, speaking unto himself and saying, discover me, for I am the Lord thy God. You were made in his image. All of that beauty is resident there. It seeks to express. But what do? As tiny birds plucking at the earth in search of food, you are concerned with the mineral life, with the outer expression, with the thorns, and the essence of the rose, the sweet perfume of God that grows and glows within you. This is often overlooked. And men are concerned with many things. They are troubled, and their hearts are afraid. When God is near at hand, with those wings of the mind, such as he has fastened unto me. These wings of the mind exalt the mind. They lift it out of what you have termed, beloved ones, the doldrums of human thought and feeling. Only by changing the consciousness, which is the complexion of life, can you actually experience the gifts and graces God would bestow upon you. So long as the consciousness dwells at lower levels, so long as it mulls over old ideas and experiences, so long as the consciousness feels a sense of limitation, the individual then becomes tied to the lethargy of the rocks, the weights of human thought and feeling. But when individuals let go and recognize that it is the fire of the soul that purifies, that regenerates, that raises, that creates the sense of the election within, then will the will of man, tied to divine motives, move him forward in the way God would have him go. A way of delight where the effervescing of the cosmos from within the chalice of his heart flows outward as graciousness to all life everywhere, a beauty that flows, a beauty that glows and vibrates and keeps the mind steady, penetrating as a giant blowtorch all the density of substance, and burning away the brush, the briars, the weeds, and even the soot. From the very vision of man, it provides a magnificent view through the trackless air. Man sees then, glowing around him in this cosmically glowing bubble of infinite perception and reality, that he is all of that and more, that he is potential yet undreamed of, even by what men have termed God. That this potential itself, reaching out to produce the miracle of the golden age upon the earth, seeks to produce it everywhere. A world of sheer delight, of color and movement. A world of beauty and apprehension, but most of all, a world of becoming the nature of God. For when that is discovered and become, then all things are fulfilled, and the transcendent nature of God becomes the transcendent nature of man. Man becomes the transcendent nature of God. Man reaches out to become God and share in the ritual and joy of becoming. And all darkness is cast down, and all hatred, and all despair, and all deceit. For of what need is deceit in a world of cosmic honesty, when the glowing thoughts of God's heart convey the immortal birthright to man? Of what need is hatred, where love abounds and expresses its abundance for each manifestation? Of what need is jealousy, when all are offered the garments of the Lord? Are there any higher? Are there any more wearable? And I tell you truly, of what need is war, when man perceives that God stands ready to convey the fruits of his abundance to every part of life, both naturally through the processes of nature and through the inward processes of divine alchemy. Why do men then feel compelled to sense separation? Why are they jealous of one another, when God has provided the same love and same garments for all? I came with hope, and I came with flow. I came with fire, I came with glow. I manifest joy, the message that's real. I am Mercury. In God's name I heal the shadowed, patched substances that men have taken into themselves and misqualified. I bring forth the breath, the fire breath of regeneration. I consume the dross. I reveal the gold. And all that I am is of him, the Father who is in you. And in our oneness and the spirit of oneness, the miracle of our goings and comings are ever in the Lord. Will you be content then to rest, to let your minds rest in our movement? For our movement is so rapid, so vibrant, so joyous, so complete, that it seems as a chariot of rest. Yet it moves forward. The mind is carried forward. The soul is carried forward. The being is carried forward. May I then, by the power of the Holy Spirit, by the mighty rushing wind of divine grace, bestow upon you all, by his word, according to your faith, the mantle of the wings of grace, eternally moving toward its appointed goals. Never stationary, yet ever restful. Completion of cycles comes. Again and again, step by step, you move forward. In ripples, not always in a straight line. The undulations of the Spirit are the compassion of God who would not, in some cases, take you straight as the arrow flies, but permit you the windings, the meanderings that seem so necessary for man in his adjustment to the higher vibratory action of the Godhead. But once you have achieved, I am sure, nothing ever again will deter you from the path that is as straight as the arrow flies. And if we bend then the Cupid's bow of divine love to shoot an arrow of that love into your hearts, you will understand that the bow of Mercury is also the wings of God. I am Gabriel, who stand in the presence of God. O humanity, why have you forgotten beauty? Why have you forgotten the essence that creates beauty, the spirit that frames loveliness and places it within the reach of the heart? Long ago, the artists of the world, many of them, grasping the moment of the Annunciation, pictured me standing and making the announcement of the forthcoming Son, Jesus, to Mary, as holding a lily in my hand. Some have pictured Mary with the lily. In this thought of a lily held in the hand of an archangel is embodied an idea of the conveyance of joyous purity, a purity that has the dawn trumpeting across the waters of the sea, speaks of the Lord God of hosts, coming with the flame of the resurrection and the power of invincible reality to the soul, that the soul might drink in the timeless moments, the eternal fragrances, the pageant of life. I am Gabriel, who have gazed upon the world in the former days and in past times, and behold, I see the vision of the future. But all that which has been, all that which is, and all that which is to be, dwells also in a state of imagining and then transformation of imagination into what men call reality. But reality is like the warp and woof issuing forth from the divine weavers. Reality is only that which God holds so dear as to make permanent. And as you examine the ephemeral, transitory movement in the world order, ask yourself what in the world you would preserve, why you would preserve it, and if you believe that universal man would approve of it as timeless, eternal, all-loving, all-wise, conveying the boon of permanent happiness to all men. Does it meet the requirements of this use? Then it is reflective of the purity of God ideas. The lily symbolizes the chalice of the soul, awaiting the resurgence of the divine light and reaching out the mouth of its longing toward the universe that it might receive the boon of cosmic grace and extend it outward in all of its activities. An external offering from an internal source, an internal creativity, an internal imagining, an imagining born from the mind of God by divine wings and divine winds, upon a mystic sea, while billowing sails convey this precious cargo to the mind. The trade winds of exchange are also present, and men understand that they will trade their ignorance for divine wisdom, that they will trade their temporal states for infinite power, that they will trade their vision of human loves for divine love and see the stepping stones on the way. For love is ever, even in its more imperfect forms, more to be desired than the tirades of venom and the darkness of human hatred. And so when I came to announce unto Mary, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and with thy spirit. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. It was the perpetuation of the thought of God for every human son made in the divine image. It was the offering of the fruits of the firstborn to a precious virgin soul who resembled a lily waiting to receive the crystal drops of life from the hand of God. And so I speak of the resurrection spirit, and I speak of the chalice of hope, and I speak of the chalice of purity, and I speak of the living memorials implanted as seed foci in men. I speak of the pinions of the mind that bear men upward into exaltation. And I speak of recovery from man's journey into the desolate, blackened forests where the flames of God have burned only to consume and not to purify. For men have builded their thought images and their images of hope around central human ideas, and these upon the altar of God were sacrificed. But the sacred fire element is the basic, eternal, ever outflowing movement of life from its inward coils into outer expression. It is the subterranean fountains of the deep that rush up within the soul to take delight in God happiness. And when men, bereft of reality, turn at times outwardly toward beauty in nature, there is sometimes a rekindling, a surge of momentary hope as they see the fragmentary glory of God in the mist, in the transient movement of the wind upon the flowers, upon the calyx, upon life, happiness in God contact. Happiness because God is. Happiness because God is in you. Hail then, humanity, for the noble second coming of the Christ knocks at the door of your heart and being. That holy gift which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God. The readiness of this gift outpouring now in my annunciation to the world and to the virgin consciousness of every man who retains it in hope even after he has temporarily lost it in his outer senses, is still alive and vibrant, formulating a memory of the former days when the spirit that is in man danced in the atmosphere of holy cosmos in the complete knowledge that all things glow with the fires of eternal purpose and creativity. our hands are extending this lily that toils not, neither does it spin unto men. For whereas outer labor and outer waiting are valid to the human consciousness, the inner gift of God can be immediately received. The immediacy of the reception is related to the immediacy of the response. Man must respond wholeheartedly, as Mary did to the divine impregnation. The idea of God having planted a seed in the womb of the Virgin, subsequently brought forth to manifest Christ's manhood to the ages, is also the life pattern of every man, for it is a drama of the ages, rekindling to each son and daughter the realization of their own personal annunciation toward purity, the annunciation toward God hope. For the divine seed is implanted in you when you truly hear my annunciation. Then, if the seed be permitted, the beauty of reception, and the thoughts be clean and pure, if the mind be lifted up into the untrammeled continents of the air, if the soul soar into the angelic realm, if men are able with all of this upraised to keep their feet upon the ground in practical service, then the gestation period will occur even in the swamplands of life, where grows the beautiful oriental lotus. The fragrance of God then, impregnated into the human heart as the living seed of fire, will be the gift to every man. And the miniature Christ pattern will gestate and be born. Christ formed in you, as Paul long ago declared. And the conspiracy of heaven to bestow its grace upon the earth will produce the miracle of angelic music in the world, in the mind, in the spirit, in the soul, born out of the stillness of the divine mind. Miniature universes are formed and die. For the patterns of outer expression are themselves changing and changeable, but the inner patterns of the soul, of the Christic identification with the living Christ, these are valid and eternal. In them the lily of life becomes manifest, a chalice of hope, a chalice of consecration, a chalice of divine energy, a radiance that will shake the world, a sea moving resistlessly and restlessly over all substance, and creating for the planetary logos the mystic union with the God intent that will produce the golden age, the formless form, the formlessness, the spirit that moves toward the form, and from the form to spirit. The spirit that holds communion with its highest potential, the spirit that holds communion with the little child whose hands and lisping voice speaks and cries out for help. Humanity is that little child, regardless of all of their sophistication. And I, Gabriel, declare it unto you. And the awful juggernaut of world karma stands the sword of Damocles over the head of the world. And today They are once again thrusting the senseless guidance of mortal men into the realm of world dimension once again. And human intervention into divine plans always makes it go awry. And so I come in the name of your I Am presence to say, hold for yourself and all humanity the intense purity of divine purpose. Be not sullied by the thoughts of others in the world. Be not disturbed or affrighted by the darkened shapes and spirits of things to come, wreaking their vengeance upon mankind. For I see the Son of God in you, born in you and living in you, as enveloping you with his presence. I see the Son of God in you, crowned victorious. I see to the world a flag unfurled, and on it written by the hand of Saint Germain these words, emancipation. So freedom from fear, from ignorance, from cruelty, from oppression, from tyranny, from war, from destruction, from egoism, from all things that tear the world apart, is the forte of the golden age. When will you start? When will you continue? When will you rend the senseless shroud that men have wrapped around you as a smothering cloth of the ages? Human weakness, human fear, human vices, human despair. All of this shall go, and men shall know that I am is the word, that I am is the sword, that I am is divine love, that being is mastery, when unleashed upon the world, when free to do the bidding of heaven. And now as I behold myriad flowers in the gardens of the world, I say to the angels of my band, pour out today the distillation of the essence of heaven in these flowers. Let these floral offerings be a sweet sense of communion, substituting for men and women who in their own complacency and self-concerns have turned their back upon the power of reality. Quicken them, awaken them, move for them, ye seemingly almost inanimate objects. Live and be, and pour forth your fragrance into space, until humanity, grasping that they were made a little lower than the angels, are crowned with more glory in opportunity to be all that God envisions them to be. I am Gabriel, who stand in the presence of God, and the trumpet has sounded, and the seal has been broken, and life issues forth her mandate. Will ye hear and assist? Will ye come and confess? Will you be a manifestation of the only begotten Son? In the name of purity, the purity of his radiance, I say, manifest the joy of God delight. Let it sweep over the hills and valleys. Let it inundate human hearts. Let it bathe the world in the fires of regeneration. Let it start a conflagration that shall produce the miracle of the ages, as the fiery fingers of God, destructing in the world order those discordant manifestations, creates now a resurrection of flowers of regeneration everywhere, most of all in the human heart and mind. May the peace of God's purity resurrect in you the flame of that purity, until you are one with me in the regeneration of the free. I thank you. The wisdom of God in the mind is as the flame of the ark between the two covering cherubims. It is a great flow penetrating through all substance, all shadow, all ideas that are controversy against the presence of God. For the presence of God designs for man happiness, purity, clarity, the far-seeing vision that enables man to be happy where he is, to develop those concepts in mind and heart that will enable him to control both mind and feeling according to the heavenly pattern. And this wondrous pattern of beauty is present in the God presence of every man, in the stream of the white fire radiance down into the chalice of his heart, and should then flow outward into manifestation through his life. The great God design, the great God pattern, is the reality of the Father intending to manifest to every man. But every man does not prepare himself to receive this natural grace, this natural order, that comes forth so intelligently from God, that is this blazing flame of holy illumination in the mind, a means of retaining not only the knowledge of the world's thought through the memory processes and the interpretation and interpolation of ideas, but also that outreach from the being of man that goes out into the universe to absorb the supreme essence of the first cause. The first cause you may well envision as love. For God is love, and his love manifests readily in nature and natural pattern, in the secure intricacy even of the physical body, with the interlocking apparatus of the mind. In all things, grace abounds, and grace is the complete penetration of substance by the Spirit of life. For wherever there is a dam created that opaques or blocks the flow, there problems occur. Did you ever stop to think, beloved ones, of your life as a series of compartments without end? Did you ever stop to think then that each compartment would require nourishment? That the flow of the light from the center to the farthest compartment of this infinite range would require the outflow of God's light and God's energy. Whenever there is then an opaquing object, a blocking, a trapping of that energy in unusual amounts in one specific cell pocket of identity, right then and there the seeds of trouble begin for a life stream. The indomitable flow of God energy as it goes out is self-cleansing to the whole identity of being. I plead with you then, as a father would plead with his children, to cease to opaque the beautiful energy of God. Through doubt, through fear, through distrust, through confusion, through even physical ailment or discomfort, whatever the problem may be, do not let it become a pocket that will balloon and fill up with the odorous unpleasantness that so often occurs in human psyches. We desire then to achieve liberation for everyone through the holy wisdom of this flame, the flame of the mind of God, the flame of his ideas that light the world. His ideas light the world, and in their floral offerings, with many tones, shapes, and colors, they please the eye and the senses. Even coarse men are won over by flowers. But we are speaking of the penetration of the light of wisdom, which objectifies at various points in space as diverse manifestations. These interesting patterns of God reality are released into the universe, and men are able in their travels to assimilate a little portion of the divinity from each one of these cups of spiritual reality. Will you strive then to understand the natural need to cease to block, to opaque, to destruct the beautiful penetration of the light energy of God as it sallies forth to liberate, to refresh as a cool, refreshing shower, as energy, as hope, as reality? All of these things are to be found in the flame of holy wisdom, for there is no intent in holy wisdom to dam up the flow, to confuse, or to abuse the identity of man. So many have thought in past times of a vengeful God. May I reveal that the vengeance of God is only against the opaquing substance, not against the people. But when people become perpetrators of darkness through creating this substance in their mind, through giving it free range and emergence from their being, to pollute the streams of the universe with dire forebodings, then the karmic web is pulled, and sometimes they find themselves the recipient of the energies they have sent forth. And this is only a natural order that does fix responsibility, that love should also produce love, and that where the fruit of love is, there a greater range of that love should go forth. And where there is no love, from him who has it not, should be taken away even that which he has. For when men are unjust stewards of the grace of God and of the fragrances he has placed within their consciousness and the folds of their identity, when they seek to harbor it in the earth without utilizing it, when their talents become dulled through misuse, then, precious ones of the light, there is always the action of accountability. And accountability is a lash of love. It is a lash of love because it makes each one responsible for the energy they have drawn forth, and then spurs them into action when they have ignored their responsibility. How tender is God's kingdom! How he nourishes each love child of his heart! How he draws each one closer through holy wisdom to the meaning of life. The final purposes are complete mastery. The final joys are the joys of achievement. The final realities are the knowledge of the infinite circle. The never-ending, ceaseless creative joy. The ability to expand. The ability to contract. The ability to contract new agreements with the divinity that has given man the wisdom, the wit, and the will to shape his ends, to guard him still in fragile moments when life seems to flee away, when reality seeks to escape each day and denies man the right to pray for all the grace that will change his shape, his identity, his concept into a more beauteous form, a brighter light, where'er he is, that through the night may flash the brilliance of his flame, a flame becoming will to claim new victories for his God. For all are one, and one is all, and yet men seem to sense a separation, simply because the All-Father gave identity to them and said, "To you I give the gift of myself." They sometimes seem to be a separate part. This is illusion, Maya. It was all of that from the start, for God could never permit his children to be separate from himself. And all in the universe is one. And this oneness, when it is grasped, becomes the key to the expansion of the self. For out of the depths of self, God has called to man. And out of the depths of self, he does reveal the plan. And out of the depths of self, he shows the way to go. And out of the depths of self, he reveals how light does glow. And as radioactive fiery suns pulse higher still, till all is one. And in the meaning of all is one, you can see through the semantical pattern, all is one, W-O-N, or all is one, O-N-E. For these are both in the similitude of God. For the victory of obtaining the one is the victory of winning. Will you then understand with me that words and word patterns, ideas of self and selfhood, ideas of God and the separation of God from the creation, all of this is illusion. And when man's confusion about illusion is gone, and he suddenly turns to the center of his heart, and speaking to the God within, saith, I and my Father are one, then the little spark of identity, expanding as a fire sun, reaches out its pulsations. It becomes a pulsar. It pulses out into the universe. It flows free and returns at last to its fiery destiny within itself. And there within the self, man is content to reign, to rule, to expand, to know, and to understand. Holy wisdom's flame on cherubic altar, blaze and glow. Let no man falter. Let all know that I am God. Be still and know, O souls abroad, scattered everywhere by fiery rod. Understand the meaning of thy life. Return to God.
Mystery of life, at last I found thee. I know at last the secret of it all. All the longing, seeking, striving, waiting, yearning, the burning hopes, the joy and idle tears that fall. For 'tis love and love alone the world is seeking, and 'tis love and love alone that can repay. 'Tis the answer, 'tis the end, and all of living, for it is love alone that rules forever. Mystery of life, at last I found thee. I know at last the secret of it all. Oh, the longing, seeking, striving, waiting, yearning, the burning hopes, the joy and idle tears that fall. Love and love alone the world is seeking, and 'tis love and love alone that can repay. 'Tis the answer, 'tis the end, and all of living, for it is love alone that rules forever.
May I reveal to you the tenderness of God. May I expand the force field of His light around you and within you. May I complement the great fire spark within you with the flame intensification of initiation. Initiation is the steps that lead to the fire of the sun. Initiation is the pathway toward achievement that step by step takes man by the hand and enables him to see the great blazing reality of God. I am. Your I am presence is the fire of the sun. Your I am presence is the radiance of God. It is the splendor that in holy wisdom directs your way. It is the splendor that in fiery love enfolds you. It is the splendor that is power to overcome, power to take yourself under the direction of God by an act of the will. For time and time again you have stood at the crossroads of decision, and you have said to yourselves, which way shall I go? And then the world has beckoned, and all of your past momentums have beckoned, and they have said to you, come this way. On the other hand, on the right hand, the powers of light were also beckoning and aiding and calling. And it became a question of which you would heed. And sometimes the mists have enclosed the great dazzling power of your own reality until you could not see or hear or feel the power of God of reality. For all of the loud, strident voices of the world and of past choices you had made, these became the dominant theme in your world. Go this way, they said, and so you moved toward the left-hand path of discord and jangle, of entanglement in the skeins of karmic rule, and you became temporarily, in your own eyes, a fool. But God has said, hearken ye unto me, all ye who live, that ye may live. Hearken ye unto me, all ye that live, that ye may live. Hearken ye unto me, all ye who live, that ye may live in my immortal image. In the image of truth, in the image of ascendancy, in the image that steps forth into perfection. Beloved hearts of light, you are not now immediately able to manifest the fullness of your perfection, for you are dwelling in the finite world. You are dwelling in the world of time and space. And here in this world, you must understand, you are ruled by many forces. But we would free you from all forces except the forces of the light. And when this occurs in its fullness, and you are enfolded by the radiance of your God presence, then at that moment the great door to the eternal realm swings open, and you are no longer a part of man's thought and feeling. You are a part of God's thought and God's feeling. And the feeling of God is the feeling of abundant love, of an overpowering love to those in prison, that they may be free. An overpowering love for those on beds of pain, that they be healed. An overpowering love for those that are young in years that they mature in the fullness of cosmic Christ law and love, growing up and being tutored in all things perfect and lovely. We then say to you today, as initiators of the grand design, that the grand design lives in you, that the divine symbol in you is one of cosmic truth. The fire of the soul leads man onward beyond the walls of stone of many centuries of recalcination that have left men in caves of darkness and primitive emotions and sense of struggle and fear and uncertainty. We move you forward into light as you put your hand in ours. We move you forward into light as you understand the power of the Spirit of God to assist you in moving away from your world all undesirable forces, all undesirable thoughts, all undesirable conditions, and transmuting them into light. For only light should live, and light is the Christos. Light is the light of God that never fails. It is the beautiful white fire lotus which creates a throne of beauty on which the individual consciousness does sit and finds itself surrounded with the fragrance of God. The fragrance of God. The fragrance of God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that the I am within you is God. Exercise with me now in a spiritual exercise. Consider your I am presence above you in space. Consider your I am presence. Behold its face, the face of God, the face of divine reality, the face of your strength, the face of your inward being. Identify now then no longer with the changing physical consciousness. For this moment in initiation inwardly, be the God presence. You are the God presence. As Archangel Michael said, you give me your doubts, and I will give you my faith. So now say to your presence, I give you my imperfection, and you give me your perfection. Then feel the cascade of that power as it descends around you, and know that that moment should be remembered forever, for it is the moment where, according to your capacity, you step out of the physical sense consciousness, out of the self-consciousness, out of the cocoon of ignorance you have builded in ignorance around yourself, and out of limitation into limitless light and perfection. When you learn to do this once, you should understand you can learn to duplicate it. And when you learn to do it again and again, you will find yourself able to master your world and know the power of freedom that is within. This power of freedom that is within you as an individual is the solitary key to being that all should have, that all should know, that all should feel. This solitary key to being is your own. It is your unique splendor, your unique grace, the grace of God that belongs to you because it was given to you from the beginning. Elmorius said long ago, from the beginning we were winning. And thus we convey to you the God mastery of life that shows to you that you are the perfection of your presence, that nothing else can take dominion in your world. When that becomes fixed in consciousness to such a degree and level that no outer condition is able to take dominion over it, then you see each step of the way becomes God-guided. Each step of the way becomes God-guided because you are able to exercise the prerogative of being what God made you in the beginning. And thus the strength that wins from the beginning is yours now, and sin and sinning is no longer that to which you bow. For in ignorance men have bowed to sin and the strain of sin that it has put upon the soul. We come then today to yield all of this to the fires of divine love. We come to yield ourselves to his grace, that step by step we may climb those golden stairs of celestial radiance, not only upon our prayers, but upon all of our doings. For man's doings must become God's doings. It is the Father in me that doeth the work, must be conveyed to all, and out of the splendor of that design, the ashes must fall from the cloak, and man must see himself arrayed in shining garments, each one more splendid than the one before, until as you step up this stairway of cosmic radiance, you understand that it is God that walks in you, that it is God that talks in you, that it is God that lives in you, and that all of the canopies of reality that he has sought to convey to you through the years as he has offered them to you like floral tributes are themselves little steps leading to him, each one leading you higher, each one inspiring you to greater love, until at last the world will come to know that love and God are synonymous. Each human being will come to know that their own I am presence and God are unanimous. Each one will come to know that all worlds turning in space are one with him, that the music of the spheres is a concordant memory, a concordant discovery, a concordant reality that ties man to all that is real. And now I, Maitreya, for the moment of conferment, say, please rise. May the angels of God refresh your souls. May the angels of God bring a sense of the benign into your consciousness, that you may never forget him, but bind him upon your being. May the angels of God seal you in your hearts and upon your foreheads with his memory. May it never depart from you, or the moment in which we live, the moment of splendor, when we give to you our light. For this morning I am giving of my light to you, and I am causing it to expand throughout Los Angeles and the world as a moment of triumph for the soul of God within the heart of a lotus or within the heart of a rose. I am conferring upon you the love that glows and represents the fire of soul. Be at peace then, and as you go through the moments ahead, the little seconds that are niches in the minute, the minutes that are niches in the hours that are niches in the days that are niches in the years that are niches in a lifetime, in the centuries, the millenniums, and all time and timelessness. Understand that reality is all that you should seek. learn as the divine swan, the Paramhamsa, to separate with your bill the nectar of God from the evil of the world. So shall you be free, and the design of God shall be upon you. My peace I give unto you. Peace such as the world has give I not unto you. But the light that ye are I give unto you, and the authority of grace give I unto you, and the shining of your splendor. I thank you. To the soul of every man I say, I am the Good Shepherd. I call with the power of the Father of light and love to evoke a response in the heart of everyone, to return home in consciousness and away from the thraldom of the senses into the acceptance of the beauty of our realm. For our realm is more redundant than the world around, and all the beauties of nature enjoyed by the eye are as nothing. They are pallid before the fragrant, magnificent, four-dimensional, three-dimensional beauty combined in the viewing from the higher levels. We urge then upon humanity the realization that He who has framed all things, who has set the stars in their appointed places, has also magnetized in the infinite cosmic, in the light that never fails, a splendid realm where all can rejoice in the natural unfoldment of the mind of God within themselves. The mind of God within yourself becomes then an outreach into spiritual realms where you are able to behold the face of reality. And then by contrast, all else seems pallid indeed. Now we come with the delight of the 7 color rays, the rainbow magnificence, which we desire to see formed within you, composing the pure white light, subdivided prismatically to manifest the whole array of infinite beauty in the pastel, vital, living radiance of the infinite mind of God. All of this is revered and revealed in the higher octaves. And all of the darkness of the world and the thoughts of fear that men have as they ponder their own being is removed in the sense of immortal life. Is it any wonder then that long ago on Golgotha's hill I cried out as I beheld a receding of the God consciousness momentarily from me, as I offered myself unto God and sensed His receipt of all my energies and being? It seemed as though He had forsaken me. And I cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? For reason fled. But once the true mind of God with the vital lightning flashes of its infinite love comes forth into the consciousness, then at that vital and transcendent moment, life comes forth again, the returning flush and glow of life, vitalizing the pores, renewing the old covenants of the cells with God in the permanence and vitality of eternal youth. Then the mind becomes a chalice, not a sordid holder of morbid thoughts. The mind becomes a chalice of pure gold, each cell-like cup, as floral offering, holds within it as distilled perfume of immortal life, the wisdom of God, the wisdom to view and to see life as he intended it to be. There is no horror in God, no morbidity, no sense of fear, no idea or concept of doubt, only the ever-flowing effulgence of the light. The light lives, and man's life lives in the light. There is a marriage of the light with life, and life with light. And in this spiritual union, the fiat of oneness is accomplished, and men are no longer as individual cells in the body of God. They understand that through submission unto the beauty of his will, they are being formed according to the Christic response. The majesty of the Christ consciousness descending upon them in ever-increasing cadences of joy wipes away all tears from their eyes, from their consciousness. Dismay and a sense of darkness has flown, and in its place we see the light seated as upon a throne. Beauty, purity, and power, glowing firmament of power, regeneration, raising all to him. For I who called him Father also say unto you, that when the tone comes to your own lips, when it is so delicately and majestically formed, when the heartbeat of his love is heard within the corridors of being, and you sense that presence of the Spirit flowing, the all-knowing radiance of himself into yourself, the self of selves, then you may say, Father, and receive his love. This is your own God presence. This is your own God gift. This is your own ever-raised and ever-raising life. This is the sense of perfect beauty that as a fiery spark of immortality shatters the darkness of matter and gleams through the grail as the penetrating radiance of immortal life. Time will come when, not in Jerusalem or in this holy mount, but everywhere, men will worship God. For God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The Spirit is the wind that bloweth where it listeth, and every one that is born of the Spirit is moved by the divine wind. And when the soul is moved, the soul's response is progress. The soul's response is progress out of the depth of human despair, out of the depth of human anguish, out of the depth of human fear, into the clear air, the shining sunlight, the holy prayer, descending like a waterfall of splendid electronic life essence upon the soul with nourishment, with the food of love, that the little soul may grow and come to know his love. Hear then the voice of cosmic sanctity within yourself. Hear within yourself the first outspeaking of the living word. I and my Father are one. Feel this surrender of consciousness unto God. Feel this gentle surrender of consciousness of where he that is in you, that is greater than he that is in the world, speaks and claims the very substance of yourself for the Father of lights, that ye may be a light, that he may bestow upon you his flame, his substance, his energy, his consecration, his plan, his life plan, his desiring, the joy of his desiring, to see you free from all dominion and all shadow and all pain, and even free from a sense of condemnation against others. Willing to be instilled with a newness of hope. Willing to forget and forsake the density patterns in which you have smothered. Willing to understand that immortal life and the breath of life is the breath that claims the cosmos, the fire breath of God, the fire breath of his radiance, the mantle of his hope, dropping over all substance, that it may claim that substance with his consciousness, conveying the bliss of his consciousness to man, enabling men to see that from the faraway hills the radiance is rolling like the sea, inundating earthly consciousness and a sense of fearful smothering, and bringing instead that life breath filling your beautiful head with thoughts of God magnificence. The freedom of a green leaf to be green, the freedom of a rainbow to be a rain glow of cosmic fire colors, a mist of sacred energy, light, physical light, momentarily chalicing heavenly light. Everywhere within you is beauty formed, and everywhere within you is the adornment of God. And why then do men suffer themselves to become the victims of morbidity and greed as they reach out to possess the physical side of life and forsake the spirit that giveth life and form and color and brilliance to everything? Without the spirit, the grass is dry and brittle and ready for the consuming fire. But in mercy, fertilizes the hungry earth with ash. But now, we wish to give no bitterness of ash, no bitterness of life, but the cup of God to all. That life, in drinking of that cup, may understand the differing content, from time to time dispensed to them by karmic hands through karmic lords. For men receive unto themselves the sowing they have sent. They receive unto themselves the very efforts that they have bent. They receive unto themselves the thoughts that they have thought. They are what they are because of what they have wrought. And let them understand then that God is what he is because of what he has wrought. And the designs that he has formed are the designs which everyone can claim, and in that claiming establish in their mind and heart a weighing all the way back to God's own heart. O precious ones of the light, will you hold with me a spirit of rejoicing for humanity, Will you hold with me a God-determined intent to flash forth daily into the world a counteracting presence that will help to overthrow discord and jangle and fear and doubt, that will elevate the consciousness with suddenness into beauty, so that through association with these ideals men may learn to hunger, that men may learn the art of hungering for righteousness, for then out of their hungers God shall respond, and out of their hungers God shall fill the chalice of life with the wisdom of the golden age, and the rulers appointed will direct men toward the fragrant principles that stand on the hillsides as the glow ray of eternal intent. And men will see in physical manifestation the beauties of the Spirit as they are communicated artistically, musically, fragrantly to the hungry soul that will never be satisfied or made whole until God is established and the contact with Him is the central point of life for all, the crowning perfection of the holy ray. I establish it by the ruby ray. I establish it by the pure white radiance. And these drops of ruby magnificence, I am descending into the force field today, mingled with holy wisdom's gold, will attract and draw men unto the light. I thank you.